Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan. It's the middle of the week inside the Birds and the Eagles. Adam, I got to say, I don't think this is understating it. This Week 7 game coming up against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday in Minnesota is somewhat of it could be somewhat of a crossroads game for this team coming off 2 straight losses and all the negativity. I'm not saying if they lose, the sky is definitely falling, but it'll feel like that. And you will really start to question if the Eagles can get right, if they can't be right all year and then have 3 straight losses. This is a big game.
Yeah, they haven't lost 3 straight since 2023 when they lost we're talking regular season game, weeks 13 through 15. The Niners at home where they got blown out. Mm-hmm. This is the midst of everything. The offensive defense completely fell out. Defense was first and the offense did. Then they got smoked at Dallas. And then, we don't need to get in that Seattle game. That was when this is the exposure of Patricia. And, there was just it's just a terrible performance.
Yep.
I know fans have been saying for not 6 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks about the vibes of 23. And I've resisted the temptation to acknowledge it, that it's real. I'm with you guys, certainly. I'm getting there.
Yeah, the seeds. Some seeds are being sown.
We try not to overreact. In 8 years, sorry if you're doing it. We don't go by media narratives or craziness of the fans, but we're aware of it in social media. Geoff and I check, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to, because we read the YouTube comments, we have to clean out the riffraff and the nonsense. It's another story. Some of these, and it's funny to see the infighting between people. It's actually,
I want to tell both people whether I agree with them or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Calm down.
Exactly. But anyway, I get it. It's look, they are 4-2, but you don't put a jacket over your head and hide. You have to acknowledge some of the issues, and it's the defense is not carrying the offense anymore. That's out the door. Boy, they got manhandled. We did on our tape show with Cosell. Fans saw it. It's one of the few times when you watch television, you're actually right when you watch it. You don't need the coaching tape.
Right.
They got the kicked out of them, and wow, that was bad. But you said, this is a game now on the road. Again, we know under Sirianni, they've been one of the best road teams percentage-wise of any head coach in NFL history over the first 5 years of his career. But you know what? Minnesota's a good team. They're going to get some of their offensive linemen back, they think, this week. They've been decimated by injury. We'll get into the Carson Wentz situation, which is fascinating.
Yep.
I talked to Mike Mamula about it, who did our show on WBCB. We love having Mike and Merrill. Mel Reese was my co-host.
That was great. That was a different kind of Mike and Merrill that people are used to.
Yeah, exactly right. It was phenomenal. I've known Mike Mamula for a couple of years. We played golf together, and I love the guy. And he knows his career obviously better than anyone. So I totally forgot about it. One of the best games of his career was against Kurt Warner.
Yep, 2 sacks and an INT.
Dude, wait, now did you hear him say it? Did you remember that?
I listened to all Inside the Birds.
You heard it. Okay.
I don't just produce. I'm not
nice
just
job. Nice job. Because I was going to say, did you actually know that? I thought you were Joe DeCamera for a second, knows everything. I wonder if Joe knew that.
Probably. Knowing the camera, he probably did.
Yeah, probably reading in the hot tub. But anyway,
he couldn't name the starting quarterback for the Lions right now, but he could probably tell you what happened in 1994.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. So look, as we get into it, we acknowledge your stuff. We acknowledge you've got problems on both sides of the football. Yeah. We were joking the other day; the special teams can't carry them anymore with the kickoff returns, which are horrific.
Right.
But as we say, when the kicker and punter are the best part of the football team, you got problems.
Yeah. And by the way, even that is hard to celebrate because the kick returner and the punt returners have been so bad. You heard me really go. I don't usually go off, but on my interview with Mike Gill on Football at 4 on Wednesday, we were talking about how bad the return games have been. I mean, because it's really impacting the team in a way that a lot of people aren't discussing, and that's average starting field position has been awful, and it's their own doing. It's not like these are great punts or anything. They're just muffing and botching kickoffs and punt returns, either catching them too deeply inside the 5 or just not catching the ball. It's bad.
All right. So for the people want Britton Covey as a kickoff returner. So this is what a special teams coach told me over the summer. I haven't really talked much about this.
Mm-hmm.
So on my travels, because I'm trying to learn the dual kickoff and what they look for and just what they want, and they want bigger backs. They want running backs. They don't want receivers back there if they can help it.
You're talking kickoff return, right?
Kickoff return, yes, not punt returns. Yes, good point. Just to be clear, it's a physical return now. You have to do returners, okay? You want someone who's physical, because what happens is you're catching it. You're generally catching it much farther upfield. Right. But the other thing is because they're the defenders are closer to you. You want to have physical guys there. So if the people want Britton Covey back there, I'm not saying it can't happen. It's not ideal. We've called him the crash dummy. That's what we called him, but he was so good as a punt returner. Now, that gets to my next point. We don't talk about specials enough. Why the hell is he not returning on punts here? I don't understand.
Him, Xavier Gipson. I mean, I don't get it. I really and even I don't know if Bigsby has any punt return in his background. But Jahan Dotson is not getting the job done. And they have guys who have a track record of getting the job done. And it just seems very interesting to me that they're not making that change yet.
Yes, I would tell you that. Now, I also want to just put this out there. You get roles by how you perform in practice, okay?
Yep.
Generally, talking to coaches for a couple decades, you can't just give in to the obvious. If the guy's not doing it, he's not going to get the role. I get that. But Covey's done it before and done damn well. We know he's over the neck injury. That's not the problem. So I'd like to see this here. I'd like to see him do that. I'm just glad we addressed this, because there's things that they control, the coaches do. That it's not the front office's problem. They brought Xavier Gipson in. He had a ball control issue, a ball security issue, with the Jets. That's why he got cut. But the guy could do it. And one of the next 2 or 3 weeks, this has got to happen. Yet another part of the major self-scout that they're going to have after week 8. Boy, Sirianni has got a laundry list here. Okay?
He certainly does.
Yeah. Way longer for his self-scout, man. You know how Andy kicks the coaches out? I would not be kicking the coaches out. I wouldn't be doing that.
No, not at all. All right, anyway. So a couple of good things. Here's what we're going to talk about in this podcast, right? We're going to get through some transactions that are really important that have happened since we last talked. We'll get into intel on that. We'll give intel on the Eagles injury updates, some good news there, which the Eagles can be happy about, but also some good news for the Vikings on the injury front that we'll get into as well. And I would say the best news for the Eagles, Adam, since Thursday, since they lost their second straight, is the fact that both the Commanders and the Cowboys lost their game too. So those two teams blew a really good opportunity to gain a ground on the Eagles. So you never want to lose games, but certainly the NFC East still for the Eagles are still in good position now, as long as they can get themselves on track. Let's talk about, though, the difficulty in some of the transactions. The big one was on Monday. Za'Darius Smith just abruptly announces on Instagram that he's calling it quits. And this is not a good thing. A development for the Eagles. They were already thin at the edge position, and he was playing well. And there's a third part of this that's really going to hurt them that I'll get into in a second. Okay. But just the initial announcement and the depth issues are really going to be difficult for the Eagles here.
I was stunned because players generally retire 3 times, okay? Right after the season's over.
Yep.
Okay. Right before the draft, which teams hate. They want this done. Like if they know a big-time player, sometimes when a big-time player retires suddenly when they don't expect it, or they're thinking about it, but they don't, the club thinks the guy's not going to retire and he changes his mind. Well, yeah, that trains, or he does it right after the draft and they didn't address it before the draft, or right before training camp's a classic one because guys, they just don't want to go through it anymore. They're done.
Right.
This is crazy. Now I'm going to say one thing though that happened. And I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but I've looked around, but I haven't got a hard confirm on it. No one, I just didn't get it like I thought I might get it. But, if you look at the snap counts, not only did he play less than Azeez Ojulari, he didn't start. He didn't play a lot
right
last week. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but that was odd to me. It was odd.
It was so strange because all they've done is talk about how well he's played, given that he wasn't with them in OTAs, wasn't with them in training camp, got in there, made an immediate impact, and then he played fewer snaps. And still never really got clarity on that. You're right. Ojulari played a lot, and maybe that's because they thought against his old team he'd be fired up. Who knows? But it was very interesting. But Adam, Nolan Smith. All right. This guy is still weeks away. You know, they're talking about after the bye, hopefully for the Packers game. All right. So now you got four guys.
And that, by the way, that's
optimistic, right?
Yes.
Right.
To be fair, that's
best case scenario.
He's already had one setback after the surgery, so this is not good. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually, for those who read me on Philly Voice, I did an interview on Wednesday with a doctor. We have a relationship with Trinity Health. We talk to doctors about injuries. Of course, the doctors can only speak on injuries, not the exact player, right? They don't. Yeah, but, you know, I did ask him about the history of, because it happened to Brandon Graham twice, and now Smith had the repair and now a re-aggravation, a strain. What does that mean for him for this year and his future? And he did say, if you have multiple injuries here and you have a repair and then you follow up with a strain, it's not like you're, I think his words were, it's not like you got Kevlar, you know, you're going to have a little bit of a damaged good arm there. And so he'll probably be in a brace when he comes back. And then the concept or the notion that he might re-injure it again if he's taking a beating on it could happen. I mean, it's not, you don't start fresh with some injuries. You heal up, you get a bruise, you heal up, you're fine. Doesn't mean you're prone to having a bruise again. But with tears, you heal up, and we saw with Brandon Graham, it's easier if you don't give it enough time or if you continue to have contact in that area to re-aggravate. So you have to hope that A, they can hold the fort down here until Nolan Smith gets back. And then B, when he does get back, he's impactful with the brace on and that he doesn't have any other aggravations. It's tough.
It's a very tough deal. It's you just don't know. Aggravating a previous injury is a tough deal. You just don't know what to expect.
Right.
And they're in a dire straits right now. Just to be clear, and we'll talk more about the trade deadline. It's not till the 4th. We know some teams may trade soon. The Eagles are looking for edge help. Okay. So it's like 20 teams.
Yeah.
Just looking into this, like there's so many teams on edge rushers. It's just, I always say this, if everybody watching knows, you and I know that they need edge rush help in a big way. Corner's way bigger opposite Mitchell. Like that's the Mount Rushmore of needs of the Eagles. That second is edge. It's one of the most popular positions in the National Football League. So
yeah.
It just be careful getting your hopes up too high. I'm not saying they're not going to get somebody. Just we'll see. I try not because people like to quote us. You said they were going to. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that. Just relax a little bit. We'll if we hear stuff about who it might be, like people mentioned Bradley Chubb. That's the most obvious one. Mm-hmm. By the way, he's a great guy, high character, 30 years old, good player. He's doing well for the Dolphins. He's healthy. He's on the back nine of his career. He's a good guy to acquire. But the thing is, because everybody knows this who needs an edge rusher, there could be a lot of teams on him.
Yep.
So if Eagles don't get him, don't be so heartbroken. Howie knows what he's doing. The guy, why is he the best GM? We've had our criticisms of him when it's been warranted, because he gets it. He's not gonna put his head and say, "Oh, we're good with these guys." Or Antoine Powell-Ryland, who's never played in an NFL game. He knows they're not good enough.
Right.
Relax. Right. Just he's on it. Trust me.
So Chubb would be good if you could get him for another reason that I was going to get into with losing Za'Darius Smith. So Za'Darius Smith was not only probably their most productive pass rusher over the last 3 weeks, but by far their biggest guy at 6'4", 270. And right now, without him, you're looking at a 226-pound Uche, a 253-pound Jalix Hunt, a 240-pound Azeez Ojulari, right? And if Patrick Johnson gets in, he's about 245. So I did the average here. You're about 242.5 on the edges, as opposed to last year when you had 265-pound Josh Sweat, 265-pound Brandon Graham. Those guys were both good dual. They could play the run.
Sweaty was always good against the run. In fact, I remember him playing in their base defense occasionally when he was young. In first couple of years, that's the way they got him on the field. He started as actually a run defender.
Yep.
And he became a dual player. But and the other thing is, let's not forget DeJean plays in the box. Like they'll have him as an added defender against the run. And we've pointed out with the tape, he gets moved sometimes. And their run defense, another one of our surprises we didn't see happening. We knew Ojulari would be an issue. Yep. I mean, not Ojulari. Amoro Ojoma against the run. That was not a surprise. And Carter being hurt, that's obviously a problem. But it's this run defense, man. I don't know how much better it's going to get. This is. I don't think Vic knew this. You know, I don't think their coaches knew this. But the defense now is not carrying the offense anymore. And on your point, this is a big week for this football team. Yes,
sure. And I know that Vic sort of teased, or with N'Kobe back, maybe you can play Jihad Campbell a little bit more on the edges. Well, guess what?
He asked that. Yes.
He's 235 pounds. So, I mean, you're not getting yourself any bigger on the edges by
was
getting
Jihad 235? Was he only 235?
Well, that's what his listed size was. I mean, maybe 240. Right. Who knows?
Okay.
But the point is, he's not 270
like
they're used to having. So it does feel like right now the Eagles are trying to put it all together with a bunch of situational pass rushers and not somebody built to be a 3-down edge rusher, as Jalen Hunt is still developing. So that is obviously an issue going into the Vikings game.
And look, with Ojulari, look, the first game that he started, he looked really good, right? In fact, the first time he played, he looked really good. Excuse me, looked really good. Played 40% of snaps. He went from 0 to 40% of the snaps. Understand, he was signed here to be a situational pass rusher, okay, or as they call DPR, designated pass rusher. He's not a starter. Like you can't have this. But they only have 4 guys left. Patrick Johnson. Okay, who really, if you have your druthers, is only playing the special teams, but they have who they have. He's got to play. Had a great training camp, but we've seen this before from him, and he's just not a great pass rusher. Okay, he's the 4th right now. Uche he's explosive, but he's smaller. Okay, that's a problem. He's smaller, and you look at Ojulari is having to start. I mean, that's just not what you want. But I mean, hopefully for the Eagles' sake, they make moves next week. The other thing, I mentioned this on Monday, the only player they actually worked 2 players out. The kid Titus Leo, who they signed, we'll get to him in a minute. And they worked out Drake Jackson, who signed with the former second rounder, who was pretty much injured his whole career with the Niners. He signed with the Commandos. So acknowledging again, they should look at him anyway. Why wouldn't you? He's out there. He was on a workout tour. But bottom line is, man, they're paper thin at a bunch of positions, and it's going to be harder and harder for them to hold this up. They're good. Howie's again got to do something soon.
Right. All right. The practice squad moves you were referring to. They release running back Audric Estime. We hardly knew you. Never really had an opportunity. Wide receiver Javon Baker. He was with the Patriots, right? And then they brought him in. Was that the?
Yeah, he was a 4th rounder, right? I believe. Without looking at South Florida.
I believe you're right on that. Yep.
Yeah, he can run, good size, but the Patriots, I know for a fact, did not want him. It's kind of weird. They kind of like realized they've been trying to trade Kyle Duggar after they did it. It's crazy. They extended his contract and then decided that we don't like him anymore, so they're trying to trade him.
Every time a new regime comes in, you see that.
Well, no, but Elliot Wolf, it was his decision. He was there last year. They extended him in April of 2024.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying with Vrabel. Vrabel may not have liked.
Maybe not. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just weird. And Baker, they didn't like him at all. From what I understand. And you mentioned Estime. Yeah, I mean, now on the Eagles' 69-man roster, they have 4 running backs, and they're all in the 53. They don't have one on the practice squad, which is fine. The number we were given is teams need to have 4.
Right.
4 running backs. So they have 4.
Yep.
So they're fine there. They don't need anyone else. Because if you look at the practice, oh my God, they don't have any running backs. It's okay. They have 4 on their 53. Bigsby, Tank Bigsby. Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
He's their 4.
All right. And of course, Eli Ricks, they once again, this is still, I wouldn't be surprised if Ricks was back in a week or 2. They've been doing roster tango, practice squad roster tango with Ricks for quite a bit. And then they signed 2 guys and 3. Sorry, we had a little bit of a joke. One's a tight end, Jaheim Bell. Now he was with the Dolphins. I thought he was with a team before.
Bell was drafted in the 7th round last year and cut. He's a former receiver in high school. He's a slightly bigger weight wise than Granson, I think. He's sort of built like an H-back, 6'2", 240-ish. Then not Leo Titus Leo.
No relation to Matt Leo.
No. Titus Leo played for that football powerhouse Wagner.
Wagner in Staten Island?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think he's actually from Staten Island.
I bet Stoutland knew this guy. Stout had to know this guy. He knew him.
Maybe. Yeah,
he knew him from somewhere.
Yeah, Titus Leo, not Leo Titus. Yeah, he worked out from Tuesday. They signed him. Good for him.
Uh-huh.
Developmental. He was a 6th-round pick, I believe, of the Colts. So they'll take a look at him. And he's back. Tariq Castro Fields from your school, Penn State.
That's right.
So he's back on the practice squad. So yeah, Castro Fields is, man, they like, he's got good size, but wouldn't it be funny if he actually played this week? That would be funny. They might need him.
I don't know if it would be funny for Eagles fans. I mean,
Sick, but yeah, I get it.
All right.
Anyway.
So that's a look at the transactions. Let's get into the injuries because this is good news for the Eagles. Before we get into injuries, a word from our great sponsors.
Hey, you know that one guy in the group chat who hit a 5-leg parlay week 1 and he wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the season? Sounds like Caplan, right? Yeah, it could be him. It could be you. And we would all want to be you. MyBookie makes it stupid easy to get in on the action, whether it's college ball, NFL, super contest, and survivor pools, all the spreads, player props, and in-game lines that you could want all under one roof. What more could you want than that? If you're new to MyBookie, use our code, THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS, the birds. Use the code, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. There is no better time to jump in right now. No better place to play. Football is back. Let's make some money with MyBookie.
Sports are all about competition. Every snap, every possession, every clutch moment matters. That same energy is what 1v1 Me brings to video games. Every single day, you can watch and stake on matchups in Madden, NBA 2K, FC, and Call of Duty Search and Destroy. All the games are streamed live. Every match has refs, and payouts are instant. And these aren't just random online lobbies. These are the best players in the scene, pros, streamers, and rivals. With season playoffs and the championship game on the line, every game matters. Over $100 million has already been paid out on the app, and the community is growing fast. If you're a sports fan, a gamer, or just someone who loves having a little extra on the line, 1v1 Me is where you need to be. It's not just about winning, it's about the bragging rights too. Every match has a chat going crazy, and you can back your picks in real time. Download today and use code BIRDS. Your first stake on the app is risk-free. That's code BIRDS for a risk-free first stake. Adam, it was no doubt a great sign for the Eagles fans. As reporters were out there observing that Landon Dickerson, Quinyon Mitchell, and JalenCarter were all out there on the practice field. Now, the reporters only get to watch it for a little bit, but then the injury report comes out and you find out Dickerson limited, Quinyon Mitchell limited, but Carter, this is big to me, Carter full, and Andrew DeCecco, our own Andrew DeCecco of InsideTheBirds.com, caught up with JalenCarter and has him quoted as saying he's going to play Sunday against the Vikings. So very big right there.
That's huge. It's absolutely huge that Carter says he's playing. Now, I know it's not his call. I mean, he's got to get cleared medically, but the fact that he took starters reps, almost all of them on Wednesday, that's huge, which means unless he has a setback, he's playing. But that's something would have to happen. Unfortunately, I've seen this before. The guy worked full, feeling good. Something happens overnight, or he's too sore, and they back off Thursday. Like if he's limited Thursday, I'm going to be a little bit concerned. Now, I will also tell you sometimes clubs, this is their plan. Let's see how you're doing Wednesday. Let's back off Thursday. But more often than not, it is a concern if he's limited Thursday today, which is today. We'll see what happens. So Jordan Davis says this is new. He's added with a shoulder injury, but he took all his normal reps. Zach Bowen has a new injury. It's a finger injury. He took all his reps. He's ready to go. Quinyon, now just be careful on Wednesday. I'm very happy that you should be. Eagle fans should be happy. And for fantasy, like if your player who had a hamstring injury on Sunday is out there Wednesday, even if he's very limited, it tells you, A, it's not going to be a long-term injury. It's short-term. And there's a chance he plays. The fact that he's out there gives you some hope. Now it's a hamstring injury. Couldn't come back last week. He's going to have a full practice by Friday. The chances of him playing are next to none if he doesn't have a full practice. It almost is like 100% if he doesn't have a full practice. Players who don't practice fully with a hamstring injury, they just don't play.
Right.
You have to see him open it up in practice, not in a walkthrough on a Saturday in this
Yep.
case. But hey, there's hope. At least he worked, so there's some hope.
Yeah, and by the way, good point about that. This was definitely a practice on Wednesday. It was not a estimation from a walkthrough. They were out on the practice field doing their thing. So that's always good. Grant Calcaterra still dealing with the oblique. He was the only one that did not practice. I agree. I think, first of all, going back to Carter, I think it's a really good sign that he was able to practice full on Wednesday as opposed to with a heel like that. I suspected he would start off limited and then you get the test the next day to see how that worked, how your injury responded. But the fact that he went straight to full is pretty good. Now they still have to see the response today. And like you said, there could be a setback, but showed that he's been feeling pretty good over the last few days in whatever he's been doing to get out on the field and be able to fully practice.
Yeah. So, and I've mentioned this before and I'll mention again, Mike Shanahan did such a phenomenal job because for those of us who play fantasy, they used to say Shanahan would play with the injury report, and they actually got nailed for it. They got fined many years ago when he was with Denver. But what Mike said was, look, when he would deal with the media knee, he was actually pretty good with the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he'd say, hey, yeah, I think this guy will play, and he wouldn't play, you got to understand, if the guy's a setback, it's not my fault.
Right.
I'm just saying, as of now, I believe he'll play. But if the guy's a setback, it's not his fault. If he has one, if he has a setback. So you got to be careful with that.
Right. So that's a pretty good look right there for the Eagles. I mean, we'll cover it more on the Inside the Birds pregame show, which will come out Saturday morning, 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Get ready. Bright and early, man.
And by then we'll know how the rest of the week shaped up for Landon Dickerson and Quinyon Mitchell. And then we'll be able to really fully see if the Eagles are going to be as close to full strength as they possibly can. And I think you would feel a lot better if Dickerson and Mitchell were practicing in full by Friday, and their availability would be there for the game. Let's switch gears here and talk about a Minnesota Vikings team that has been battling injuries all year long, but they're getting a little healthier at some really important positions, offensive line, quarterback, few on defense. Let's go through that, Adam. I mean, obviously the big one for them is JJ McCarthy, who was limited in practice. He's trying to work his way back. Is he in the window, or did he never go on IR officially?
Yeah, he never went on IR.
He never went on IR.
It was like he had a mild high ankle sprain, as I understand it. So, here's the thing, and we'll look at the practice reports as the week progresses.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he takes a majority of the ones, he's not going to. You're not doing that. A young player who, you just don't. You don't give the guy deference if he's not a veteran. You just don't. I just know how coaches think.
Yep.
He is their future quarterback. They love him. I know he didn't play well before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a guy that looked great in training camp. His final 2 weeks of training camp, I was told last year before he tore his patella. Plus the Raider game where he got hurt, he was phenomenal. See, people forget about that stuff. They look at what training camp uneven this year. He missed obviously all of last year. Never played in the regular season. But he's got talent. Now, Kevin O'Connell's done a phenomenal job with this kid. You and I know teams that gave him a 3. They don't like. A lot of teams didn't like him.
Yep.
But we'll see. But Wentz looked phenomenal against Cleveland. Yep. Up and down against Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
First game he played was at Cincinnati. He didn't have to do anything. They were up. I think they won 41 or 48-10.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens this week.
I mean, I think you and I have seen this enough to know, and like if you have a veteran backup like Carson, who's a full participant on Wednesday, he was dealing with a shoulder, but he's full.
It's left shoulder,
left shoulder, right? And you have a young kid like McCarthy, who's just in his first year as a starter, and he's limited Wednesday. It almost already arrow points to Carson Wentz. You would have to see McCarthy be, in my opinion, to give it just. I'm reporting opinion here, right? If McCarthy is not by Thursday, I mean, at least a full participant in practice, I can't imagine he's going to go out there and play. I mean, this guy's got to have practices under his belt.
I don't know of a time where the backup took majority of the reps and the rookie, the first round pick. Oh, they love him. Gets limited reps and he starts. It just doesn't happen. Like that's just not smart football. So I'd be stunned if that happened. But you got to see what happens today, which is Thursday. Let's see how he reacts to that.
Right.
But the good news now, their offensive line has been incredibly banged up.
Mm-hmm.
As I go through their injury report,
so I know Brian O'Neill was a big injury for them, right? He was limited on Wednesday.
Yeah, and okay, so let me go through their offensive line because they got all sorts of problems. So Donovan Jackson, their outstanding rookie, the first-round pick out of Ohio State,
Yeah.
he's a wrist injury. He missed their last game.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get fully cleared yet. He has not.
Right.
Brian O'Neill has a knee injury. He got hurt before the bye. He's got to get through it, but he's practicing. That's good.
Yep.
Blake Cashman, who's one of their inside backers, he's going to play barring a setback. He's a hamstring. They feel like he's going to be able to play. Michael Juergens, who was backing up Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly's on IR. He had 2 concussions this year, unfortunately. He's on IR. Michael Juergens, his backup, didn't play the last game. Juergens, barring something unforeseen, he's going to play.
There's no relation to Cam there, right? He's a center as well, right? Michael Juergens?
He is, Michael Juergens. Yeah, I don't know. But the big one on defense is Andrew Van Ginkel with a neck injury. Started working this week. They got to see him get through it.
Yeah.
And that's where they're at. So their offense, that as you said, you're right. It's a good thing that some of these guys are working, but they still don't know yet. They got to get through practice this week.
Yeah, but no relation between Michael Juergens and Cam Juergens, despite having the same last name and playing the same position.
He didn't go to Nebraska, didn't he?
No, Wake Forest.
Okay.
But you're right. These are not definites like Van Ginkel and Donovan Jackson, but the fact that they were out at the practice field on Wednesday and able to do something gives them sort of the arrow pointing in the right direction.
Correct.
And I think the Vikings are I don't want to say completely different, but they're so much better of a team if Jackson, O'Neill, and Van Ginkel play. They're already better with Cashman.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're almost a completely that's a good offensive line when it's healthy.
The big issue for them, we'll get more into this in the pregame shows. They're not very good at corner. I know that Isaiah Rodgers has played well. He's made a lot of big splash plays.
Yeah.
He's a feisty guy. Did great for the Eagles in his role. Took a nice job. But they have a beatable secondary. Doesn't mean the Eagles will beat them, but I'm just telling you that the word around the league is Greg, actually, Cosell backed this up. He watches more tape than anyone we know. Greg does not disagree with that. He feels like that's a secondary you can get. But you got to get them. You got to protect.
Right.
Not only that, you got to be able to run the ball. We'll get into that in the pregame show.
Yep.
Let me ask you this question before you get out of here. And you talked about it. We talked about to start the show, like kind of where they're at here. And your Crossroads game, it's a great way to say it. And you know where I'm at. I just said I'm almost to the point where this is looking a little bit like 23. Where are you at with this football team right now? I mean, they are 4-2, but what are they symptomatic, excuse me, of the rest of the league?
Well,
just no one's really good.
I mean, I'm caught. I'm sure I'm like a lot of people where I'm caught in between. There's too much talent on this team to be doing as poorly as they're doing, especially on offense, where everybody came back except for one player. However, there are some unavoidable issues with the offensive line and its overall health and strength that complicate the talent that they have, because as we know, everything starts for the Eagles with their offensive line and run game. And it's not like we have a small sample now. We have a third of the season in which they just have not been able to run the ball explosively. They haven't been able to run the ball effectively. And, they're if you look at their rankings on first down, Adam, yards per game on first down, they're 28th. Yards per play, 29th. EPA per play on first down, 22nd. EPA per rush, 20th. Pass percentage on first down is 45%. Last year it was 37. So for those who are saying they run the ball on first down too much, not anymore. It felt like that way in the first 2 weeks, but they have come out throwing because of their run game issues, and that hasn't worked for them either. So I see a team that's stuck in a rut right now, trying to find its identity, and we all expect that it'll come because of the talent they have. But if that offensive line doesn't get better, I think it's going to be more of a struggle than we think.
I didn't listen. I've asked you this. I've asked Andrew this.
Yeah, I didn't have offensive line being a problem on my Eagles.
No, I didn't, and that's the point. I when I went to training camp, what did we miss? Like what? Look, I saw them as 11 or 12-1 team. They still are probably going to be in that frame.
Yeah,
but how you get there to that record, I just didn't see.
Well,
I just didn't see it. I just
we
didn't see
didn't
this offensive
miss, right?
run blocking, by the way. Pass pro has actually been mostly pretty good,
It's
but
actually been all
run
right,
block has
yeah.
been atrocious. I
We
don't
didn't.
understand.
I would say we didn't miss that much because we did talk about Toth's struggles at camp, whether it was at center snapping or
Yeah.
even at left guard. You could see that was an issue. Juergens was hard to tell. He was in and out. He had maintenance days. I mean, it's really hard at training camp to watch plays and see if his fluidity and his angle blocking is there. I'm really baffled by Mailata missing some blocks lately. But he was dealing, now that I think about it, he was dealing with something at camp. Something in the midsection area we were grabbed. He obviously played through it. He's not been on the injury report, but those of us who were there every day saw every once in a while he looked like something wasn't right. But I don't even think that's the issue. He's just not playing the way he is. And maybe at some point we should expect that Lane Johnson's going to look more like just an above average tackle instead of a Hall of Fame one. Hey, fall is planting season. Did you know that many plants and trees actually do better when planted this time of the year? But you got to know where to start. And that's why I love fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter if you live in the sunny South or if the air's getting a little chilly where you are, the plant experts can help you find the perfect fit for your space. They've got everything your yard needs: fruit trees, privacy trees, shrubs, flowering trees, so much more. And Fast Growing Trees makes it so easy for you to have your dream yard because you can order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door. If you're like me, you're tired of spending way too much money on landscaping. And if you walk into one of those nurseries and you look at all the stuff they have, you have no idea where to begin. That's why you need fastgrowingtrees.com. Doesn't matter about the size of your yard. They got over 6,000 plants to fit any space, and a 14-point quality checklist ensures you will get the best quality plants possible. This fall, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code BIRDS at checkout. 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code BIRDS at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use BIRDS to save today. The offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes and support the show. Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you know you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up.
Let me add one more thing to that. This idea that Barkley is not playing well is just not true. Based on,
I don't know what he could do.
Yeah, I mean, is he as good just on his own as he was last year? Not probably, no. But he was one of the best running backs in NFL history last season. Okay,
yeah,
he was incredible. The line was incredible. Okay, one of the best performances we've ever seen by an offensive line. But he's having to make. I think you actually pointed this out one of the weeks, and it was right on because it just happened. The first two runs that he had, which were explosive runs, were not blocked the right way that they should have been blocked.
Correct.
And this is just hard to understand and hard to believe.
Yep.
But you can't predict guys to regress like this. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that they're going to start feeling better physically. There's clearly something wrong physically with a bunch of these guys. There's something off with them.
Right.
It's just I know Jordan Mailata's talked about this on a show on WIP. There seems to be a blocked. They're just a little bit hair off.
Yep.
And that's actually real. But why? But why is it happening every week?
That's a great question.
Man.
You know, I would really, I want to see Saquon break one now. Not only, to see to verify what we think is real about this team, but also I want to get some next gen stats on what his fastest MPH that he can reach. Yeah. But Unfortunately, you're not going to get one on a 6-yard run or even an 11-yard run where he has to make the jump cut by himself, because that there might be some telltale information there. But the only analytics that really tell a story right now on Saquon are the fact that he is hit and contacted far sooner after the handoff than he was last year. I mean, he was the leader in yards before contact last year, and now he's among the worst. I mean, he's getting hit almost immediately.
I mean, when you go from 3.9 was the number, and now he was at last look, it was at 1.7.
Mm-hmm.
That just folks don't understand how big that's like. It's like going from, let's say, a great receiver averaged 18 yards, then the next season averaged 10, and he's healthy. There's nothing wrong with him. You go, what the hell's going on here? They can't get the ball downfield. Whatever you could pick any receiver that's struggling like that.
Yep,
it's because it's the quarterback or the offensive, whatever the case may be. It's the offensive line. It's just there's no way anyone would have known. There's no reporter went to practice would know this. This is crazy.
Right. No, you really, you don't know until we always say that too with line play. You don't know until some preseason games, but then really when you get into it in September, when they're in when they're in pads every single day, every game, obviously, and really going through it. But that is the big question, and we will get more answers, I'm sure, on Sunday. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in the Eagles Intel. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.